Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the early line here on SportsGrid. Davis Mattek and Donnie Rightside with you. We are going to recap some of the action in college basketball last night. We had a couple of pretty decent-sized upsets as these teams wind their way to the conference tournaments. We're really not that far away. One of the final Big 12 tournaments in my neck of the woods, Kansas City, where Oklahoma is actually going to be part of it. I've been a couple times. The conference tournaments are always a pretty good time. Let's go ahead and begin, Donnie, with the biggest upset of the night. North Carolina losing to Syracuse look, let's be honest, a real barn burner, 86-79. What did you make of this one? Why was North Carolina not able to get it done?
By the way, Davis, this was a big upset, but on the rundown here for this segment, you wait till the final game we get to, and I'm going to talk about a real upset. But nonetheless, this was an upset in the ACC, no doubt about it. We broke this game down yesterday, Davis, and I said to myself, you know what? That's a lot of points, 7.5 to 8.5 on the road, but Carolina's a much better basketball team. Maybe pass on that and take a look at some tempo for the over, which is what we did. But shockingly, I didn't think North Carolina was going to lose this basketball game. Final score 86-79, but we get into the crux of what actually happened last night. You take a look at Syracuse. The one thing that we do know in college basketball, and pretty much in any sport, most teams do play better at home, particularly in basketball from a college environment. You usually shoot better from the floor at home. How about the Syracuse Orange? 63% as a team from the floor. Pair that up from three-point range, 47%. Did shoot 72% from the line here, which is okay, 18 of 25. But my goodness, if you shoot 62.5% as a team on a night-to-night basis, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. But if you flip it over and take a look at North Carolina on the road, it's not bad to go in that dome environment and shoot 48% as a team. They also shot, Davis, almost 45% from three-point range. And that wasn't like, hey, 4 of 10. They made 12 three-point shots, the Tar Heels here, and made 82% of their free throws. But Syracuse was just a better team all the way through. Now, as we take a look at the ACC now, the Carolina Tar Heels, who were running away with it, now sit at 11-3. That's a big resume builder, as we like to say, for the Syracuse Orange, now sitting at 7-7. But in ACC play, as we talked about the Carolina Tar Heels getting that great head start, look at the top three teams now in the ACC. The Tar Heels, 11-3. The Duke Blue Devils, 10-3, right on their heels. And yesterday, Virginia was upset. Had they not been upset, they'd have 3 losses as well, which they have 4 now. So it looks like we're separating ourselves from the top of the pack. That's a terrible loss for North Carolina that could have kept that stranglehold on the ACC. Now coming, Davis, a little bit back to the pack.
Absolutely. Look, Syracuse shoots 62% from the floor. You are not going to win.
Yep.
Not going to win very many basketball games where you are allowing your opponent to make 62% of their shots. Just not a recipe for success. Another minor upset here. We got a win for the Pittsburgh Panthers against the Virginia Cavaliers. They are sitting at 16-8. Virginia is 19-6. How big of an upset is this one, relatively speaking, Donnie?
It is a big one, quite frankly, because the Cavaliers, again, if they would have won that basketball game last night, would have found themselves in a tie for first place with Duke and Carolina. But you take a look at the Pitt Panthers, who had their struggles over the past couple years, sitting at 16-8 on the season, now above 500 here in the ACC. The one thing we know about the Virginia Cavaliers here, Davis, they play very good defense, and it's the pack line defense, which means you are not going to score in the paint. You are not going to score on the baseline. You better hit your three-point shots or you're going to be in trouble. So you take a look at Pitt, 14 of 32 from three-point range, 44%. That's exactly what you have to do, because the one thing we know as well, Virginia doesn't foul a lot here either. Only 11 total free throw attempts for Pitt, which they converted 8, but they shot 45% from the floor, which is very good going up against Virginia. The one thing that we usually don't see out of Virginia is them struggle from the three-point line, only shooting around 29% of the team, only making 4 of those three-point shots. They did shoot, however, 50% from the field. But the ultimate equalizer in college basketball, Davis, is the three-point line. One team made 14 threes, the other made 4 threes. You can guess who won that basketball game. Pitt made more threes. Pitt won that basketball game by double digits on the road. A quality win.
All right, moving on now to some Big 12 action. Baylor, 79. Oklahoma, 62. The Baylor Bears shoot 52% from three-point range, making 11 of them, just absolutely blitzing them from deep. Oklahoma, the exact opposite, 7 for 21. They also turned the ball over 12 times, 12 turnovers in a college basketball game. You are not winning. You're just not going to win very many of those when you go on the road and turn the ball over on, a tenth of your possessions.
No, you're certainly not going to do that. And particularly, again, Baylor is a quality basketball team, 18-6 now in the season, 7-4 in Big Ten play. OU had a chance to go over 500, at least keep their numbers at over 500, but now dropped to 6-6. Now, when you try to get into this game and what works, we talked about this yesterday, breaking it down. Coming into the season, Baylor had a very good team here. In the season before the conference actual action picks up, where I call it the silly season. You're playing on aircraft carriers against Division III teams, Division II teams, lower common opponents. Baylor, Davis, shot the lights out here. And we talked about it yesterday. If we included conference play and pre-conference play, they're a top 5 team at making three-point shots. But once you get into Big 12 play, they generally struggled to start Big 12 play, even though they played around 10 games. But not last night. You take a look at 11 of 21 from three-point range. That's 52% from three-point range. That's the Baylor that we expected at the beginning of the season that we haven't seen all that much in Big 12 play. Maybe this kickstarts the Baylor Bears, because if we're taking a look at the conference standings in the Big 12, and I'm never going to hide this, I love the Big 12. I think it's the most competitive conference in basketball. 8-3 Iowa State, 8-3 Houston Cougars, 7-4 Baylor Bears, 7-4 Texas Tech, 7-5 Kansas Jayhawks. They are still battling from top to bottom in the Big 12, but a nice win for Baylor. And if they can shoot the three-point shot like we expect them to do, they're going to be a tough out, no doubt about it.
All right, moving on now to a game that we highlighted on the program yesterday. We had Marquette and Baylor taking off in the Big East. Marquette ends up winning this one 78-72. How does this impact the larger scheme of what is going on inside of the Big East?
Yeah, this is a big win here for Marquette. Now, most would probably think Marquette is the best overall team in the Big East. There's UConn Huskies hanging out there as well. So it's top heavy in the Big East. But the Butler Bulldogs having a decent season here. Came in the game last night at 16-8. This is one of those that if you can get above 500 in a Power 5 type conference. Now, granted, in college basketball, a little bit different than college football, right? Because UConn and also Marquette play in the Big East. That's considered a power conference in college basketball. If you can stay above 500, that gives a great look here at the committee. The one thing I did like out of Butler is I thought they would be scrappy last night, and they were. At the half, it was 34-32. They were right into that. But folding down the stretch in the second half, you saw those scores, Davis, which is always trouble. You hang around. The next update, it's a 4-point margin. The next update, it's a 6-point margin. The next update, it's an 8-point margin. You can feel it slipping away. Now, granted, at the end of the game, they actually made a shot to make it 78-72, but nobody's going to foul after that, just basically walked off the court. That's a good win for Marquette going on the road. I thought Butler might have been ripe for the upset there.
All right, and our final one here in the Midwest, we have Illinois State and Indiana State. Indiana State fighting for an at-large bid, and they lose to Illinois State, a 12-14 team. Not a good result if you're from the Midwestern state of Indiana, Donnie.
Hey, Indiana State came into that game 13-1 in conference play. And did you know they closed around 17.5 to 18-point favorites as a ranked team at home going against the Redbirds? They end up losing that ball game. And quite frankly, you look at the numbers and say, when do you usually pull the big upset? When you go crazy from three-point range. Davis, Illinois State only made 4 3-point shots last night, but made 18 free throws, but shot 52% overall from the field. Just a terrible performance all the way around for Indiana State. Very rare that they get ranked because they were showing the Larry Bird days basically on the updated highlights here. That's a bad loss. And it wasn't like they lost by 1 point. They got hammered at home as close to 20-point favorites, Davis, in this game. Come on, Indiana State.
Absolutely brutal stuff there. They're definitely going to want that one back. That was a circumspect look at the world of college basketball from a pretty big Tuesday night, a little bit of Big 12, a little bit of Big East, a little bit of the Missouri Valley. We love the Missouri Valley here on the program. We are going to go ahead and run into break. When we get back, we are going to take a look at the NBA and a little bit of NFL draft coming up later in the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the early line.